Hey everybody, welcome to your Moon in Cancer reading. This reading is designed to look at February 1st to February 4th. But as you know, these readings ultimately are just energy readings. And so really, you don't have to be of any sign or be watching this at any specific time for it to resonate with you. As always, use your own discernment, make your own decisions, and think for yourself. Yay! And the guides are saying, do unto others as you'd have done unto you. You know what? As we go into this age and we keep going and going and going, and new technologies are coming up and new people are popping up to talk in our ear, and we're learning new things and all of this, one thing remains the same, and that should be the golden rule, and just really getting into a place where you can really think, hey, is this something that I would like to have done unto me one day? Or even more, if you don't really value yourself, which a lot of people struggle with, is this something I would want done to my child or my mother or my father or my sister, brother, aunt, uncle, blah, 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 best friend, right? So you should be moving forward with your own checks and balances, okay? 1 minute, 11 seconds on that. So anyway, let's jump right in. It's my pleasure to serve you guys as usual, capital S, God bless. And speaking of service, if you have any needs that you would like to have done, which means me tapping into your personal energy field as opposed to this collective energy reading, you know where to find me. All right, so let's jump in and look at the energies that are occurring for the collective that you, chances are part of as this moon transits the sign of Capricorn. Ooh, you know what? It's so weird. I heard Scorpio, and then I thought to myself, no, it's Cancer, and I said Capricorn. So a couple of shout outs there already as we go. But you guys know how it is. Timeless and signless. God bless. And I pulled these guys out. You know what's so interesting? Look at this. King of Pentacles. And I feel like the King of Pentacles was on the top of this deck. If not over here while I was over there. Anyway, so let's see. What's happening for us? 2 minutes, 22 seconds. Yeah, of course. 10 of Swords signifying the end or the death, as they're saying. They're saying it so dramatically with one hand over the foreheads. The death of a karmic cycle. But you know what? I'm seeing this 9 of Wands signaling surrender, right? Of course. Then we'd have the heartbreak card. But Spirit is saying, oh, look at this, the 8 of Swords looking very much 10 of Swordsy as well as the 8 of Swords. As well as the 10 of Swords right there. 8 of Swords is all about having a perception that is very limited. And what the effect is that you're ruminating, you're obsessive, you're creating a prison. Thanks, guys. You're creating a prison around you. Not prism with an M at the end, but a prison, S-O-N. Around you that you can't get out of, or you believe you cannot get out of. But the nuance of the 8 of Swords is that, you know, it's actually not real. You can step right out of that just by having a change in perception. A miracle, miracle, miracle. As A Course in Miracles teaches us, a miracle is merely a change in perception. It just appears like, and remember, perception, according to A Course in Miracles, and I do believe it, this is my belief, our perceptions directly create our realities. And so that's why when we have a change in perception, quote unquote, it can be a miracle, because when we have these changes in perception, it leads to changes in the physical reality around us, some of which we may be like, oh my God, I never thought that would ever happen. Yeah, but that's just because something happened to the level of perception for you, and it manifested as something you never thought could happen or would ever happen for you. So that's why we have miracles. But as I was saying here about this 3 of Swords, being this sadness, I'm also getting that this 3 of Swords is signifying delay for some of you. Whatever this was, I feel that there's a lot of positive energy in this, in that even you maybe at this point can look back and be like, well, you know, there was a reason for that. Speaking of looking back, King of Wands is looking back, right? So why are you looking back at this moment? Well, if you're keeping it 100, you're probably going to look back and you're going to use what you learned in hindsight. I'm being told not just what you learned, but what you learned from other people learning things. contrary to what a lot of people think, you don't always have to have every experience. Some people have this idea in their mind where it's like, you have to try everything once, you only live once, I've got to drive, and that's fine, but that may be your personal trajectory, right? But it doesn't mean that that's what everybody has to do or have. We all have a different makeup to ourselves energetically, and we have this way where we compare ourselves to other people, and the truth is, we don't know where each other's souls have been. We don't know how long we've been working. If you're here to work, we don't know how long we've been doing these life cycles. So it's very common amongst souls that have been around the block for a long time that they don't have to always have every connection, is what I'm getting. Every connection. They don't have to have every experience. They don't have to YOLO it, because you don't only live once. And a lot of times these are the more quiet people, right? They're just they're going about their business. They're not feeling like they need to be or do something. And so as we see with a lot of the elderly, a lot of them exemplify this for us, where we see them start to just become simple with things. Keep it simple, because they've been on both sides and now they're in the middle. They know. This isn't their first rodeo. Now, this doesn't mean that just because you're up, down, all around doing all this, that your soul is young or this and that, no, actually, again, going back to the point, everybody's on a different trajectory. It could simply be that, just like in university, that one friend who's like, hey, I actually have this project due, but nobody else has a project due soon, but your friend does. And so they're like in hyperdrive trying to finish up a lesson or finish up something before the deadlines. We don't know what the other person's working on. And so therefore, of course, it goes without saying we cannot judge, number one. Okay. And number two, it goes without saying that you have to stop comparing yourself to other people. You have no idea what other people are doing. Literally, we do these collective readings because there's a general universal dynamic that those who are attracted to this video are going through. So there are things in here that are said in a certain way, presented in a certain way, that are designed to trigger certain ideas in you to help you individually and collectively along your path. However, if you're trying to really get into your own energy field, that's why like personal readings are more important, because then it's really looking at you. You and a friend or you and other people may seem to have the same thing going on. You may both be doing the same thing in your life. But then when we look in both fields, it's, for one of you, keep doing that. The other one, no, don't do that ever again. Because it really is so independently dictated. It really just depends on what you've got going on in your energy field. The guides are also saying that this is an important point to note, because this is not about creating division. This is about saying wisen up. We are living a co-creative and collective experience, but in a very, very big way. People are still actually living their own reality. I know it seems paradoxical, but just trust me on this. You are living your own reality, and there's a certain level of misperception to this idea when we look around and we think, oh, we're all going through this. Actually, we all seem to be going through this, but your neighbor may be having a very different experience than you're having, right? And so that's why it's important to become conscious. And most importantly, so much energy is coming, I can't even swallow say the next words. Most importantly, you are being asked to learn how to actually practice activating and tapping into your own energy field and your own energy circuit. Okay, so under the deck, I've just been standing here talking off into the distance, but I just split the deck and we've got 3 of Wands, 4 of Swords. I almost got 4 of Wands. 4 of Wands would be really great to get. It's like the what do you call it? It's symmetry. I love it. It's symmetry. It's union. It's structure. It's the 4, right? But what I'm getting here is this person is trying to reach, he's contemplating reaching for a sword. He's contemplating reaching for something. So this is showing that during this time, a lot of us, and we know this, a lot of us are in a little bit of a hibernation period. And you guys know this. This is what winter is. It's pruning season for many of you as well. We're releasing, we're decluttering, we're getting ready for spring cleaning ahead of spring, right? So, and if you follow this channel, you're definitely part of a collective where right now, a lot of us have been put on some type of rest as we continue to calibrate and reconfigure what's going on in our field. We're dreaming, but we're putting things into place. We're sowing seeds, all of that, right? We know this. But what I want to point out is that some of you during your cushy time, God bless you, you may have been getting to thinking, which is good because this is a period for contemplation. And some of you are, it's almost like saying, wow, I'm in this 3 of Wands waiting period, but I wonder if what's coming is my 4 of Wands. I wonder if I make this step, will it be my bounty? I wonder if, right? And there's nothing wrong with wondering, right? Let me go ahead and put you there. But what they're saying, look at the Sun card coming up in reverse. But let me feel into that. Is there a reason why? No, not necessarily. Okay. Phew, right? It's like, oh no. I mean, even the Sun card in reverse though, right, is still good in a sense. But 11 minutes, 11 seconds. What they're saying is it's good to have your dreams right now, you know, dream big. Call upon spirit to help you to perceive of and conceive of the inconceivable. We had a video about this not too long ago. And when they said that, can you conceive of the inconceivable? They're saying, in a nutshell, unfortunately, because of our conditioning, cultural conditioning, religious conditioning, past life conditioning, subcultural conditioning, gender, everything, all of this. Because of that, all we're doing is putting ourselves into smaller and smaller boxes. And what better way to tame and enslave a bunch of creators and builders by forcing them to believe stuff over time that just is BS, right? And so that's the thing. So unfortunately with that, it's a limited perspective. And when we have limited perspective and perception, we struggle to conceive of what we could actually do. And then the only way we can kind of like measure that sometimes is if we look over at somebody else and they have the same set of crayons, but they're building a masterpiece. And you look at what you've got, you're like, what? So now we're measuring creativity and we're measuring this and that. But the truth is, at the end of the day, the more that you deconstruct your mind, the more that you work, and this is to be whatever it means for you, but the more that you work towards being ideologically flexible, meaning what works today is possibly not going to work tomorrow. That's fine. We know this. You may be listening today and be like, oh my God, Jay's making sense on some level. And then tomorrow you're like, oh my God, who's this person? Jay? Who's she, right? But the point is, you're allowing yourself the freedom to move in and out of those ideologies. And that's a beautiful thing. There is a saying that says, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. But you have to think about it this way. What are you going to stand for? And whose foundation are you standing in? People don't question things. They question things that violate their sense of reality, but they don't question where they got their reality from. And so if you're not the reflecting type and you're not ideologically flexible, you may, you could benefit from taking a few steps. Hold on, let me take a sip here to unbind yourself. 1 second. And again, oopsie doodles. Yeah, look at that, Page of Swords. And it's important that you take everything with a grain of salt, in a sense. Take even what you're hearing here on this channel, Page of Swords. Take everything with a grain of salt. Everything in your world is designed to give you something to wonder about, give you something to reflect about. And the way that the cosmos move around us it is done in such a natural and organic way that we naturally have the cycles and the seasons that help us to cycle through these things and to take on new ideas and to release old ones, take on new people, release old ones, right? But at the same time, what you may be missing is your know-how, your consciousness. And so the question is, what are you doing to become more of a conscious person? To think for yourself. Just as I said that, these cards are flipping up. What are they? Look at the Hermit card. Yeah, I love the Hermit card. In this card, it almost looks like he's taking a step back to hold something up to the light and to think, what is it that I'm holding on to? What is it that I'm seeing? And, you know, is this my walking stick or what is it? And then don't be afraid to chuck it. Right? Don't be afraid to chuck it. The Four of Cups is our no thank you card. It's the discontent. It could be boredom. It could be whatever. Spirit is saying here, part of being ideologically flexible, again, it's kind of the same thing, is not being afraid to let go of what's being told, not being afraid to let go of what you've learned. It doesn't matter if somebody says Archangel Michael said this and that person said this and God said, look, as the saying that Buddha is supposedly to have said, if you meet Buddha along the road, kill him, right? Look, I don't know if Buddha really said that, but it's attributed to him. If you meet Buddha along the road, kill him. Because Buddha won't be like, hey man, I'm Buddha. No, right? So it's all about looking at you, thinking about you, what's going on. And it's very important that we start to take these steps to revisit some of our ideas, revisit our feelings and what triggers. A lot of people don't know how to connect with themselves, and that's the biggest problem. What we've lost along the way, a lot of people, is their connection to themselves. When you're fully connected to yourself, you are able to note when you're having a change in your body. You're noting, and I don't mean just in terms of nutrients, deficiencies, things like that, or loss of weight or gain of weight, or I'm getting headaches or feeling off today. I'm talking about, oh my gosh, I went around this person and I'm clenched up all of a sudden. What does this mean, right? Being able to notice that, being able to notice, oh, my eye's twitching a lot. What's going on? Or my left ear is like being weird for like the last week. What does that mean? Could it mean something, right? It also means noticing the environment around you. Do you have a lot of clutter around you? Everything's energy. Is there a lot of one color around you? What could that mean, right? Is everything you have yellow or just black? Black is beautiful, right? But I mean, these are things that we look at. Also, notice the quality of people that you have. Do you tend to attract a certain type of person into your life? Are you free and expressive with this one person, and with this other person you're completely dead and you have no will at all? So these are the things we want to look at, notice. What are the things that you would rather not admit to yourself? What are you so always talking at the top of your lungs about to other people about yourself? Are you the person inside who you project outside? So Spirit is calling us to get back to ourselves, because a lot of people spend a lot of time finding out information about other people, through gossip, through spying, stalking, researching, blah, 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 including celebrities. They know all about this celebrity and all about that football team. But if you ask them one question about themselves, they barely know. And if they do say something about themselves, you ask, well, where did you get that from? Chances are it's something that they were conditioned with from, some type of TV show or set of shows that they grew up watching, and everybody collectively could say the same thing. I mean, if I hear one more time from even friends and family, oh, Taylor Swift, she's so relatable. Who said she's relatable? Where did you read that? Who are you hearing that from? Somebody set that in motion. It's marketing, right? Yeah, maybe you can relate, maybe you can't, but somehow it turns out that everybody keeps saying the same buzzwords about one person. Right? And that's just a quick example that I noticed. So a lot of times we have to kind of notice, like, how plugged in am I to things to the point that I'm easy to predict. And it works out really well if you're marketing companies and if you are people in power, or you want a group of people to think a certain way and you want to anticipate how they're going to vote and how they're going to, right? It's easy to entrain a group of people if everybody's kind of doing the same thing all the time. You never know, how did I get to do this thing? Why did I feel to do it? And you may actually start to realize that if you took time away, let's say you took time away from the internet for like a good 2 months, and I mean for reals, 100% kins, and you put your phone away, you only used it for phone calls. What's that? What's a phone call? Oh my God, don't know, right? Or you used it 1 hour out of the day, or if you really limited these information superhighways that connect you with, I guess, everything and with nothing at the same time, who would you be? What would you be? You would suddenly be faced with yourself. What do you do in that stillness? Do you twiddle your thumbs? Some of you, I'm getting, may actually find that you're not as morose as you usually are. You may not feel as inclined to do certain things as you usually do. So sometimes getting away for a bit and really taking a step back is a healthy thing to do. So at this time, as we are coming into the moon in Cancer, it's emotion, right? It's a water moon. So I would say, if you're really trying to get in touch with yourself, maybe something you can do over the next few days is to think, well, what's coming up for me? What's if I'm peaceful and I'm still, meaning there's the absence of motion, there's the absence of major stimuli or major reactions in some way in my body. What's disturbing that peace? Am I having intrusive thoughts? Is someone in particularly on my mind, a family member, a friend, a random coworker? Am I hearing a song in my head play all day and I didn't even realize it until I was like, oh my God, I'm singing the Smurfs song, right? Am I having thoughts about my childhood? Am I feeling queasy? Did I wake up feeling good? How long did I stay in that way? What did I do when I felt that way? Am I naturally inclined to not reach out to anyone and I'm just kind of hermiting and I love it? Or but somehow I can't do that because I have to reach out to people and do stuff? Or is it the opposite, right? So let's get into a space of noticing. That's one of the greatest things that you can do for yourself. I just split the deck, boom, illumination, the sun card, right? When we allow ourselves to be illuminated, and again, always ask, who is illuminating me? Because even right now, I'm just sharing with you guys what I get, but I know what I get is for me as well. So it's coming in for me, and I'm just sharing what it is that I get for me. And you're part of the collective. If you feel like, oh, this is kind of what I'm going through now, we're all part of the same collective, but it's still your duty to tune into you for yourself, right? Because the more illuminated you get on something, yourself, that is, the more you can see, well, what is it that I don't need? I keep thinking I need all this, or this is my identity, only to realize it's actually not. Wow, I always thought that if I had more time, I would do A, B, C, and D. Now you have all this time, and you're not doing any of that. You just want to relax. And then let's say if you've been doing that for a whole week, then you start to realize, oh, now I don't want to relax. But you also don't want to go back to what you used to do. Now you're like, oh, what's fly fishing? And all of a sudden you start having these new thoughts to do new things and different things with different people. Maybe this that's coming up for you now is the real you. A lot of times you may have a best friend or a family member or a coworker or somebody or a significant other that you cling to all the time, even if just to talk to during the day or just debrief after something. And you don't realize that every time you really start to get into a space of your own, emotionally, physically, financially, whatever, maybe you freak out and you unconsciously and you pull yourself right out of that, and now you're calling somebody, right? Push through. When you're taking yourself down an independent path, how far can you go with that? And what opens up for you? What comes up? Grief, new interests, a desire to rest. So this is I was going to say, wow, what a heavy message, but it's actually not heavy. It's kind of like something we should be doing for ourselves. We should be doing this. This is like putting the mask on yourself before putting it on to other people. All right, let's see what else is coming up for our lovely peoples. All right. Thanks, guys. Look at all these healing cards, and look at the bottom of the deck right here. If you watch my channel, thank you, then you know I always say, wow, this is like the strongest card in this deck for me. And I went for a whole like set of years without it ever coming up in readings. And now it comes up a lot. To me, this is the integrity card. It shows alignment. Integrity coming from the word integration, right? Integrated mind, body, spirit, will, wisdom, mind is together. So it's higher truth. And I love, look at all these healing cards, the divine physician. We've got Archangel Michael, we've got Buddha. Look, 1, 2, 3. With all of this here, look at what's happening. There's a creation. It's coming through as the muse. There's a creative energy that's coming up for you. Now, as these energies come up to create inspiration for you, right? As spirit energy comes through, healing energy, whatever you'd like to call it, it's going to push up anything that's in the way, right? So that's when you have your emotions. You may need to cathartic a bit. Some of you may journal. You may feel the need to go jogging and running to move this energy. So in other words, a lot of you may start to have energy impulses coming up. Think of it, and not to get too graphic, but think about it as having the impulses to have a bowel movement. And it's like, oh, gotta go, right? Maybe you may go do something else. Oh, I gotta go. All right, I have to go. And then finally you go and you're, right? Or it could even be just having that one impulse to have a bowel movement, and you can, and you go and you do it, right? It's like things coming up to clear and unclog your drains, so to speak. But I also saw the Lover's card here and the Killer's energy. So if we all know the Killers, and I keep hearing the Mr. Brightside song. Remember that song? I'm Mr. Brightside. Boom, 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 boom. I don't remember the tune, but anyway. Yeah, that's coming up. So for some of you, go ahead and take a look at the lyrics that's coming up. I'm also getting that over the next few days, some of you may be having energetic work done on you. So your team may actually be doing some, they're calling it physical restructuring, but obviously in a non-physical, with your non-physical structures, which will, it's very interesting because the way they're showing me, it's almost like this became a doorway and they pulled you from this side of the doorway into there. So thank you. So there are going to be parts of you that they're going to extract from you, and then that part of you is going to be going through its own atonements, karmic counsel, things like that, and then healing or whatever it needs to do. Lots of work that it's going to do on the other side as it slips behind a veil. But the rest of you here will be like the rest of your consciousness and your mind and your body and all that will go through life doing its thing, right? This is how we can be in more than one place at the same time, but we're like, what? So some of you may actually feel a little bit like you're daydreaming a bit or sleepwalking. Or when this energy is done and it's ready and you're ready to collect yourself, it's going to come right back and integrate into your being, right? So this is how it kind of works. And sometimes we don't realize it, but we have different aspects to us. So when you come in for healing with me, God bless, we're working with the different aspects, and that's how you can have these conversations with these other sides of you, and it's pretty cool. So think about it as is this way. It's kind of like my guides, when they're about to do these kinds of procedures on me, I'll just hear out of the blue, medically induced coma, and I'm like, what? And then they're like, oh yeah, that's right. They're so kind. Now they start giving me a heads up, because otherwise I'm like sleepwalking, or it's okay. You can still drive. You can still do those things. They're not like putting you out of commission. It's just that you may feel a little bit more tired, or you may be feeling less inclined to interact with others for, let's say, however many days. For some of you, this is somebody here is 9 days. Wow, that's a lot. I've never, sorry, I don't know. But hey, you'll be fine. Don't even worry about it. Just be a normal person like you always are. And, but sometimes it's just for like 3 days. It could just be for a weekend. Yeah. And I like that energy here. The reason why is for whoever it is where there's a part of you that's going to go home, go back beyond the veil to take care of business on your behalf. I'm seeing some, it almost feels like this part of you will be coming before the karmic board, will be making any atonements, will be representing you, will be doing whatever needs to be done. And it's kind of like you sending somebody, a part of you, of the family, so to speak, because it's you, right? Off to do, okay, you're gonna go pay these bills, do that, and say hi to everybody, and then when you're done, meet us back at the crib, and you're like, all right, bet. And then later, they're back at the crib, it's 3 p.m. So I'm getting a little bit of that. The guides are saying, they're laughing because they're saying, we do this all the time. And I'm marveling because I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this, a part of us slipping out there maybe this is what's happening when they're like medically induced coma and such, but they're saying we do this all the time. It's just that you're sleeping. And that's why they're chuckling a bit and they're laughing. And I'm like, oh yeah, we do that. Yeah. That laughing, you laugh and you look around like, I knew this, but you didn't. We kind of knew. We know we go out of our body and do stuff at night. Duh, hello. But I guess, yeah, it makes sense. So I guess during the day now. And so that's going to be happening over the next few days as well. Is there anything else you guys would like us to know as this moon is, doing its Cancerian dance? Oops. And thank you. Oh, okay. Pioneer, passion for doing and creating what has not been done before. Well, this is kind of giving me vibes like some of you, as you go home, as you do this that we were just talking about, you're going to be, notice I'm saying you because it is you. It's just a part of you, right? While the rest of you is still here going through the daily life and blah, blah, blah. So I'm just going to address you as you. Part of you, some of you are going home to do these upgrades, to check in, to whatever, and you will be coming back with, not all of you, but some of you will be coming right back in and integrating with yourself, God bless, with newfound freedoms, they're saying. Ooh, yeah, I like that. Newfound and like unlocked things, like if you play games, oh wow, unlocked an ability, right? So you'll have newfound freedoms, you'll have things unlocked, you'll have a greater sense of know-how. So in the day, I'm getting into 4 to 6 weeks or months following these next few days, some of you will really be, for lack of a better word, it's actually the right word that they're saying, awakening. You'll be awakening. And so you'll start to have a lot of abilities come online, but most of all, you'll start to notice a perception shift. You'll be having a shift in perception that's going to seem incremental at first, but it's going to gradually become monumental when you look back and you're like, holy moles. I can't believe I used to be doing that with this person. I used to be going here because I'm such a different person now 6 months later. And on top of that, when you look back, not only will you just register like, oh, maybe my interests have changed, you will register, oh, shoot, that vibrational frequency just wasn't me. In much the same way that we finally, from whatever age you are, you finally look back and you're like, oh my God, the person I was in high school just so wasn't me. And for some of you, it was you, but for a lot of people, it wasn't them. Or the person I was in college was so not me. It's like when you're in it, you don't see it. But later, once you've really had these upgrades, you've learned, you realize, oh shoot, that just wasn't me. Okay? Hold on, let me just read this for a second. I also feel that there will be some adjustments happening for a lot of people. So a lot of you guys, as you know, if you watch my channel, chances are that you have some type of contract for being of service to others, whether or not you've activated it or not. A lot of you are already involved in doing this stuff. And please know, I say this all the time, you don't have to be in the field of spirituality. You just maybe because you're into, like you're into tarot and you're into healing energies and blah, 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 and watching these videos. But it doesn't matter if you just sell books or if you make furniture or if you're unemployed, but you, whatever. It's just an aspect of you that's at work, okay? A lot of you do work on the mental level of the field as well. A lot of you work in the non-physical fields, they're saying. I remember there was this one person that I was reading for, and what her spirit was doing at that moment, this was back in the day, she was helping in this non-physical, helping to count out, you know, the vaccines and stuff. I was like, what? Apparently, yeah. Because what happens in the physical first happens in the non-physical. So what do you think all the souls and stuff are doing before, you know, they're doing that, right? And so I was like, oh, that's interesting. And by the way, that is not a commentary from me about whether you should or you shouldn't. That's up to you. So if you're still in that kind of mindset, looking for other people to give you permission or to convince you out of it or into it, that's you gotta start doing you, boo, right? So a lot of people are really being asked right now, lead the way by disconnecting from, you know, the gurus, the this, the that. Start thinking for yourself. And first, plug into yourself. Disconnect from the things that get your power back. Then connect to you, align, and from there, then start putting your feelers out to feel like, oh, does this feel right for me? Does this sound okay? And be ideologically flexible in a way that allows you to get in and out easily of beliefs as you see fit for yourself. Speaking of, look, this is it. Oh my God, I didn't even read this card. Speaking of, let's read these cards. Look, Messiah, mentor, shapeshifter. Skill at navigating through different levels of consciousness, ability to see the potential in everything. Yeah, start to learn to be a shapeshifter. I know the ironies of saying this during Aquarius season, the ultimate shapeshifter, right? Yeah, lots of people, everybody right now has things to say, including me, right? But again, I'm just going off of what's coming through me. If you know me well, I'm probably holed up here just giggling with myself and reading a book or doing something. But so I don't plug into a lot of other people. So I really try to plug into myself and I share what it is that I get, right? And so as you plug into yourself, you are being tasked with listening to yourself. How does whatever you're looking at on TV, listening to in a podcast, reading, or looking at on the street or experiencing in your house, how does that hit your body? How does it feel? How does it sound? Does it feel right? Do you get an accurate taste in your mouth after you look at the way somebody in your life acts? Like what is going on, right? You're the measuring stone here, measuring rod, measuring device. And once you do that, then you ask spirit, or you ask your gut, you ask your higher self, whatever it is that you feel you should be asking. You ask to plug into only those who have passed certain initiations, certain tests. And these tests are not going to be crazy like, can thouest recitest. No, it's just, is this person in their heart space? Is this person kind enough when they're, talking? Yeah, sometimes your words have to take on firmness, strength, character, whatever, but you don't have to violate another person in order to get your energy out there. You don't have to hurt people to do certain things, right? And the mark of a person who's come full circle on something and balanced themselves out is that you see that they do things with an even hand. So that's something to aspire to, balance. I myself aspire to balance. We're all imbalanced in different ways. And so we try to bounce against each other and be inspired, and create a balance. But ultimately, you are the decision maker. I almost said you're the decider. Anyway, if you know, you know. Anyway, long story short, Spirit is asking you at this time to start to get in touch with you. You are the measuring device right now. You're the barometer. You're the one in the Merkaba. You are the you. And once you learn how to tap into yourself, then you can start to reach back out and tap into things that align with you. So personally, just to give you a how, I'm going to share with you how I'm doing that, right? The way for example, por ejemplo, very simply, today I went on a walk. It wasn't too long because I had to come back and do this. God is good, right? I went on a walk, and as I was walking, I was like, come on, Jay, how are we going to navigate? What are we doing? And I realized, not navigate the streets, I know where I am, but navigate this life. And then I just started saying to myself, I said, my heart is alive and conscious. And I just kept repeating that. My heart is alive and conscious. In that moment, what I'm doing is drawing my attention consciously from the conscious mind perspective to my heart, and I'm imbuing it with the quality 40 minutes, 4 seconds. And that structure that I'm creating for myself is that the heart is in control, that it is alive. Lots of people with dead hearts walking around, right? God bless, God bless. It's alive and it's conscious. And when I said it's conscious, I created a feeling for myself. I didn't just say loosely, it's conscious, unconsciously say it's conscious. To me, if I defined what conscious means to me, it means it's the leader, it's in control, it's aware, it's self-contained, it's the one leading. 40 minutes, 40 seconds. So I said, my heart is alive and it's conscious. And I just kept repeating that. And then I said, my heart, what was I saying? Oh yeah, then I started saying my heart directs and aligns with my solar plexus so that my will, that's my will center, is founded upon love. Because I've already decreed, it's my decree, that my heart is going to be alive and it's conscious. Because when the heart is alive, it's not falling for all this BS that other people out here are saying. People could be saying stuff that sounds like it makes sense. Oh, we should do this, we should do that. But my heart is conscious and it's alive, it's aware. It's going to be like something about that doesn't seem loving. I don't want any part of it. And that intelligence, that heart intelligence, I just said my solar plexus, which is my will center, aligns and is directed by that heart consciousness. And then I kept going, and how I extended that to my sacral and then to my root. And I said all of the other chakras below there, because we do have other ones that extend into the earth. And then I acknowledged that my heart is not only alive and it is conscious, but that it serves as that gateway, that connection between the physical, and you see my 3 chakras, lower chakras, and the non-physical and the celestial and all of that, and those are the upper chakras. So the heart's kind of in the middle. And so then I started to say my heart's alive and conscious, and that it aligns and directs my throat chakra. So guess what? Anything I do with my throat chakra, which is all that I do here, I'm expressing myself. But by the way, in case you didn't know, telepathy and all of that, that's the throat chakra. It's not your ears. It's the throat. The throat chakra is that organ. And if you think about it, ENT, ear, nose, throat, it's all the same area, right? So the throat chakra controls your hearing and all that, your expression, creativity. So I said, because sometimes I'm always like, oh my God, I'm always like preoccupied, dear God, please, I just want to make sure that whatever I put out there is actually as close to the truth as I can get. I don't want to be, caught up in the wrong ideology and blah, 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 right? And so by me aligning my throat chakra with my heart, which is alive and conscious, that allows me to relax, knowing that my throat chakra and all of its expression and all that I hear is going to be aligned with my heart as well. And if it's not, it's going to seem off. So all I'm doing is recalibrating myself. And it starts with my decree that my heart is alive and conscious. And then I went up to my third eye, knowing that it rules my sight. And I said, my third eye is aligned and directed by my heart chakra. And so anything that I perceive of is going to be interpreted through the heart. Because I can perceive of a lot of things, but we know that our misperceptions are fear-based, and that's what creates a reality. But if I make sure that the heart directs what it is that I perceive, I can see two people interacting and see it from a heart-based perspective. And then if I sit down to mediate or to make amends or just whatever, I know that it's going through my heart, right? So this is how we're programming these chakras to align with the heart space. And then I go up to the crown chakra, and I'm like, okay, but I know that, you know, God is good, and the crown is where I'm receiving these divine communications. So I don't even have to trip chocolate chip because it's already divine. But what I'm going to do still is I'm going to make sure that anything I perceive through my crown chakra, or that I receive, through my crown chakra, that it passed the test of my heart. Because let's put it this way, all roads should lead to Rome. It doesn't matter what part of my body, what chakra, what this, and then I did it for all, I made sure that it applies to all the chakras above. What if somebody could tap into a higher chakra and pose as a loving being, but now it's just interfering with a higher chakra? No. It has to align with my heart, period. And so if we take care of the heart, we remember what our virtues are. You know, kindness. I know it sounds lame and Pollyanna, but trust me, these are energetic frequencies that if we remember what they are, the golden rule, learning to be patient with others and with ourselves, learning to give and be generous with others and with ourselves, and balance and how we do these things so that we can be as balanced and healthy in these things. Even these virtues have to be balanced, right? So if we're tapping into those energies and we're practicing those as ways of enlivening our heart, the whole point is the heart is the super center of your body, and everything has to pass through this heart. If it's not aligning with a heart that's alive and conscious, then what are we doing, right? So when you set your decree, your job is to really work on building the heart center, so much so that you can start to align with it, and you can align everything with it, so much so that if something comes and it is not in the heart space or at a heart frequency, it's clear as day to you, because your mind is tuned in, your sacral, your root, right, your perceptions are, and this is what we need to do, because we've been conditioned out of the body altogether. We've conditioned to believe that these kinds of things are quote unquote woo-woo. It's so dismissive and so destructive to people. We've conditioned to bury our noses in books that we are told are necessary, and then we can't interpret it for ourselves. We have to work with intermediaries from religious sectors to hermetic, groups and things like this. This is all we have to get out of that. And at the end of the day, you are you. Guess who you were born with? Yourself. And guess who you'll pass with? Yourself. So you don't want to spend an entire life in this lifetime just following. And like I said, the best thing to do is to tune in to yourself and make that be your heart center. Activate your heart center, and let everything else fall in line. And that's the strength, And on top of that, as you do this and as you go and you learn and you practice this out in the world, you're gathering information, but you're practicing towards the right direction. We're just reorienting ourselves to the right direction, which is building strong heart center, strong values, practicing it, and hitting or missing. That's cool. We're here, but at least we're in the right direction and we're building. And also to practice ideological flexibility. That means, today it's this, tomorrow I think it's this, and there's no barrier for me coming from here to here. I don't need to shout it to the hilltops that I've moved from this religion to this one, or that I've come from atheism to now a religion, to now agnosticism, or that I've started to basket weave and I've taken a step back from doing any of all of this, or searching for anything. I'm going to spend the next 20 years just fishing. It's just do it. You just do it. Be natural and just do it. Because now you don't have that resistance and those barriers that people expect you to account to them for. Okay? So anyway, I hope all of that kind of made sense. As you know, whenever we have a water moon, we have like, for example, we're going into Cancer, you're going to have stuff come up. You're going to have some emotions come up, and that's cool, because like, let me know what I'm still feeling. What am I still afraid of? Okay? Who's still on my mind? Don't be afraid. These are just energies pumping up. And now that you're writing yourself, RIGHTING, yourself, and getting yourself back into the speed of things in the right direction, and starting to work in your heart space and measuring all against that, because guess what's being measured against the feather later, supposedly? Your heart. So if other things can't even fall in line, then good luck with that. Right? So now that you're doing all of that, yeah, give yourself a break and don't feel any pressure. Just be normal and natural and get back to a natural state of things, but make sure that you're doing everything from the heart. Okay? Anyway, practice self-care over the next 4 days. And if you'd like to work with me personally, see what's up with that energy field, you know where to find me. But until then, God bless you. Keep an eye out for the February 2023 I almost said meeting. Yeah, the guides. It's always a meeting, session meeting. February 2023 reading that's going to come out. Also, I'm going to be putting out the astro reels over the next few days. It's just, I'm just taking a little bit of time because I got a lot of stuff going on. But love you guys, and I will see you soon. Bye.